All right, let me take you deep inside the chaos unfolding at Browns camp right now, because frankly, it's electric. Shadur Sanders isn't just participating in the Browns quarterback battle, he's commanding it. And let me be brutally honest. This is not what Dylan Gabriel envisioned, not even remotely. The entire script has been flipped. We're witnessing a fifth-round rookie pick Noah 144 strut into camp with over 4,100 passing yards from last season and the poise of a 5-year NFL veteran. And he's not just throwing passes, he's delivering lasers that are already becoming part of training camp folklore. Meanwhile, Gabriel looks rattled, not physically, but mentally unsteady. Think about this. The Browns use a third-round pick, 94 overall, on Gabriel. That's a slot typically reserved for someone viewed as polished, reliable, and NFL-ready. A seasoned college warrior with nearly 19,000 yards and over 60 starts. A guy who's seen it all. That was the vision. But now, it's looking more like they drafted a statue, because in today's NFL, safe doesn't win championships. Firepower does. Creativity does. Swagger does. And Shadur Sanders is bringing all three into this quarterback room with force. He's got that electricity, that unapologetic confidence, the kind of energy you don't expect from a rookie, especially one taken 2 rounds later. And yet, here we are. Let's break down the numbers, because the numbers don't lie. In 2024, Shedeur racked up 4,130 passing yards, ranking him 4th in the entire country. Gabriel, a solid 3,857, good enough for 8. Respectable. But then it starts to shift. Touchdowns, Sanders threw 37, Gabriel had 30. Interceptions? Gabriel protected the ball slightly better, 6 picks compared to Shedeur's 10. But here's where the gap becomes a gulf. Big-time throws. Shedeur had 26, ranking in the top 10 nationally. Gabriel, just 15. That dropped him to 56th. That's not a gap. That's a Grand Canyon. That one stat tells the full story. One guy is attacking defenses, the other is just surviving them. Now, some folks point to Gabriel's 86.5 QBR, one of the highest in the nation, but let's be real, QBR rewards checkdowns, short reads, and cautious play. It favors quarterbacks who don't mess up, not quarterbacks who win games. That might cut it in the Pac-12. It won't in the AFC. Let's talk accuracy. Shedeur led all FBS quarterbacks with a 74% completion rate. Gabriel came in second at 72.9%, but second doesn't mean much when the guy ahead of you was drafted after you and is now outshining you in every category. But here's the stat that really shook me. Throws under pressure. Yes, Shedeur's pressure-to-sack rate is high, 20.1%. But that's a byproduct of a guy who's trying to make plays, refusing to fold. He's going down swinging. Gabriel's sack rate is lower, 13.9%, but what's he doing with the extra time? Dinkin', dunkin', waiting, hoping. That's not command. That's hesitation disguised as caution. That's not leadership. That's waiting for someone else to make the moment happen. And yeah, let's address the elephant in the room. Shedeur's recent speeding incident. Hitting over 100 miles, not a great look. But let's not pretend that's why he's making headlines. He's trending because he's torching defenses day after day, rep after rep. This camp was supposed to be a healthy battle between promising rookies. Instead, it's turned into a Shadur Sanders highlight reel and a Dylan Gabriel blooper tape. And now, even the insiders aren't mincing words. One report simply stated, it's not close. Sanders is dominating. Not keeping up, not looking solid. Dominating, and I believe it. There's already a throw circulating. Tight coverage, linebacker trailing, press man on the receiver, and Sanders drops a perfectly placed corner route to the back pylon like he's trimming a Christmas tree. The touch, flawless. The timing, surgical. The sideline reaction, everyone leaned in like, did we just witness that? That's NFL-level execution. That's pro-ready poise. Meanwhile, what's Gabriel showing us? Look, his college resume was impressive. The numbers are there, but when you dig deeper into the system he thrived in, his diminutive stature and his lack of elite traits, it starts to unravel. And right now it's unraveling in real time. His passes are getting batted at the line. Now he's trying to arc it higher, and in doing so, he's losing control. The ball's sailing. One rep ended in a clean pick six, not tipped, not deflected, just read and taken. That pass, nearly picked. A straight-up gift-wrapped turnover, and it showed. You could see it written across Gabriel's face, in every ounce of his body language. The man is overthinking his mechanics mid-rep, second-guessing every motion, hesitating in the pocket. That's not how quarterbacks survive. That's how they crumble. And if you're still with me, smash that subscribe button, because what's happening behind the curtain at Browns camp is even crazier than what we see on the field. There's real tension brewing between the coaching staff and team owner Jimmy Haslam. The coaches, they liked Shedeur. They recognized the upside. But Haslam, he was obsessed. I mean, seriously invested. So much so that the staff started getting nervous. What did they do? They pulled the trigger on Gabriel at pick 94. Not because they were sold on him, but to try and block Haslam from forcing Shedeur onto the board at 144. You heard that right. That's not drafting. That's not scouting. That's draft day politics. Strategic sabotage. A chess match in suits. But here's the punchline. The only guy playing like a grandmaster right now is Shadur Sanders. The irony is brutal. The quarterback they tried to sidestep is the one now making everyone else in that room look embarrassingly unprepared. Now look, I'd still be shocked if either rookie started before week 6 or 7, but based on what we're seeing, Gabriel's just trying to stay afloat while Shedeur is out there orchestrating the entire show. There's a cultural shift happening inside that Browns facility, and it's being led by a 22-year-old rookie. Shedeur isn't just taking control of the quarterback room, he's commanding the energy of the building. He's cracking jokes, building camaraderie, even getting Joe Flacco to laugh. Yes, that Joe Flacco, arguably the most stoic human in NFL history. If Flacco's smiling, you know something has changed. Ask anyone inside the building and they'll tell you Shedeur's the glue guy. The vibe guy, the locker room catalyst, and that intangible leadership, it matters. It matters more than most people realize. When a quarterback walks into the room and commands respect without even having the title yet, that's special. And the team, they're responding. The fans, they're already emotionally invested. Social media's buzzing. Browns forums are blowing up. There's a groundswell behind this kid. Meanwhile, Gabriel, it's crickets, no buzz, no momentum, no fire. He looks like he's trying to endure, not compete. And in a locker room full of hungry professionals, that energy shift spreads fast. Technically, the depth chart still lists Flacco and Pickett ahead of both rookies. But if you've been paying attention to minicamp, you already know. There's only one name that matters right now. It's not Gabriel. It's not Pickett. It's Shadur Sanders. Now, Cleveland's front office is staring at a very real dilemma. Do they roll with the veteran who can manage a game but offers no long-term upside? Do they try to salvage the third-round pick they reached for in panic mode? Or do they hand the reins to the rookie, the one with the energy, the accuracy, the numbers, and now the fan base? Stick around, because this quarterback carousel in Cleveland, it's just getting started. And Shadur Sanders, he's no longer auditioning. He might already be the guy. And hey, if you're a true Browns fan, if you live and breathe this team like I do, show some love. Drop a like, hit that subscribe, because what I'm about to unpack next might just change the way you view this entire quarterback situation. Let's talk Deshaun Watson, because nobody saw this coming. Now, we're used to Watson headlines. Usually it's injury reports, contract drama, or debates about whether he's earning that $230 million 0 cents guaranteed. But this time, it's different. This time, the headline is about love. That's right, Deshaun Watson just got married. He tied the knot with Sports Illustrated swimsuit model Jillian A's. And in classic Deshaun fashion, he broke the news with a slick Instagram post. Wedding bands, tailored suit, and the wedding date stitched right into his collar, July 3rd, 2025. Clean, bold, very Deshaun. But let's not get too swept up in the romance, because while Watson's enjoying his honeymoon, the reality on the gridiron is much less poetic. Gabriel's going to fold. Pickett will get exposed. Flacco's going to remind everyone it's 2025, not 2015. And Shedeur? He's going to shine. The coach will see it. The GM will see it. The locker room already sees it. Even the opposing sideline will start whispering, who is that? This isn't just hype. This isn't just a moment. This might be the beginning of a regime change in Cleveland. Dorian suddenly begins slinging warm-up passes with suspicious intensity. What was a calm, routine session turns competitive, then chaotic. DEFCON 1 in under 10 minutes. And the locker room? Oh, they feel it. You can't conceal momentum. When a rookie walks in and starts outperforming millionaires, the silence gets loud. Some veterans welcome the pressure. Iron sharpens iron. Others, they get tense, because this isn't just a hot day in camp. This is the birth of a shift. Sanders isn't flashing brilliance once. He's stacking it over and over again. The footwork, crisp. The reads, lightning quick. The throws, not aggressive, violent, like each ball offended him and now has to be punished. Suddenly, these aren't just developmental reps anymore. Shedeur's presence is altering the tempo, raising the standard, and hijacking what was supposed to be a sleepy offseason into a full-blown quarterback melodrama. Shakespeare and cleats. Now zoom out. The Browns can't survive another quarterback implosion. This isn't 2014. The fan base is fatigued. The front office is walking on a tightrope. Wins are mandatory. Hope doesn't cut it anymore. And while your $230 million 0 cents enigma buffers like a 2009 YouTube clip, a fifth-round rookie is lighting up practice reps like a seasoned assassin, Kevin Stefanski can try to play it safe. He can pretend Shedeur doesn't belong in the conversation, but greatness has a gravitational pull, and right now, Sanders is rising. And just for context, this kid has been slinging to third stringers, completing all but 12 of his 53 attempts and tossing 9 touchdowns. Dylan Gabriel, 8 touchdowns on 83 attempts. The math ain't lying. This is the modern NFL. Quarterbacks don't simmer anymore. They detonate, they step in, seize control, and rewrite the script. Joe Burrow, Justin Herbert, C.J. Stroud, even Brock Purdy. Mr. Irrelevant became Mr. Untouchable. Shedeur isn't politely asking for permission. He's moving like the locker already bears his nameplate. And now Cleveland is trapped. They can't bench Watson in July. That's a PR atomic bomb. But they also can't ignore what's unfolding in Berea without appearing delusional or ego blind. Every pristine rep from Sanders plants a seed of doubt. Every misstep from Watson waters it. And soon enough, you've got a full-blown quarterback controversy growing in real time. Let's entertain the outcomes. Scenario 1. Sanders stays quiet, keeps studying, waits his turn. Adorable. Nostalgic. Totally 2006. Scenario 2. He keeps dominating, fans start noticing, the media catches wind. Watson stumbles to start the season, and suddenly every throw he makes carries a Sanders-shaped shadow. The crowd grows restless. Hawk shows ignite. One standout preseason performance from Sanders, and the city flips. Let's not forget, Cleveland isn't a city of patience. It's a city of fire, passion, desperation. And if Sanders continues this upward trajectory, don't be shocked if another team comes knocking with a fifth-round offer before Week 1 even kicks off. Earlier this week, Dylan Gabriel ran with the starters and went 11 for 11. So don't fall for the surface-level narratives. Don't get distracted by meaningless depth chart noise or draft round assumptions. Watch the decisions, follow the money. Listen carefully to the tone coming out of the building, because when the inevitable quarterback injury hits, and in Cleveland it will, the question won't be, will Shedeur get a shot? It'll be, is the NFL ready when he does? And before we go further, hit that subscribe button, like the video, and sound off in the comments. Your support fuels these deep dives. Thank you. Now let's talk about Deshaun Watson, because let's be honest, the front office already sees how that chapter ends. Whether it's the injury history, the inconsistency, or the constant off-field chaos that surrounded him since arriving in Cleveland, it's clear this storyline is closing before it ever truly got off the ground. That's the truth few are brave enough to say out loud. So what do you do when your quarterback room is full of question marks, maybes, and ticking clocks? You stop slapping on Band-Aids and start laying bricks. You pivot from desperation to development. And that's exactly what I believe the Browns are finally doing, building a true quarterback pipeline from the ground up. At the core of it, Shadur Sanders and Dylan Gabriel. That training video where all the goal lines are Dillon and Gabriel, they picked Shedeur for exactly this role. Let that sink in. Think about what that means. What better way to groom a young quarterback than in a system where he doesn't need to be a savior on day one? He doesn't have to win over the city in a single game. He doesn't have to be perfect from the jump. He gets time. He gets mentorship. He gets to study, observe, and gradually evolve. And when the injuries pile up, or when the veterans run out of steam, he's ready, not rushed. Ready? According to a report on SI.com, Shadur Sanders is already showing signs of being the future QB1 in Cleveland. Not necessarily this season, but soon. Think 2025. And this isn't media hype. It's coming from those inside the facility. Coaches, analysts, insiders, people who know what an NFL quarterback is supposed to look like are seeing it with their own eyes. His arm talent, his command of the huddle, his poise under pressure. And then Tony Grossi said something that made my ears perk up. He mentioned that Kevin Stefanski and the Browns are returning to their bread and butter. Pound the rock, utilize the tight ends, and lean on play-action passing. That, my friends, is a dream scenario for a young quarterback. A system tailor-made for Shedeur's strengths. He already has the arm to make those play-action throws. He just needs to speed up the reads and adjust to the NFL tempo. And for the die-hard prime time fans out there, the ones who believe in Deion's vision and Shedeur's grit, this is your moment. Because finally, a franchise might be doing right by a young quarterback. They're not feeding him to the wolves, not lighting his career on fire out of impatience. They're letting it breathe. They're giving him the space to grow. Let's not forget, every time Cleveland has tried to fast-track a QB, it's blown up in spectacular fashion. Johnny Manziel, Deshaun Kaiser, Brandon Weeden, and don't even get me started on the endless parade of quick-fix vets. Each time, the results have been the same. Chaos, disappointment, and another rebuild. But maybe, just maybe, they've learned. Maybe this time they're finally embracing patience. As for Shedeur's speeding tickets, that's just static. A distraction thrown out by people who don't have anything of substance to criticize. Grossi said it best, the team has already moved on. And let's be real, if a couple of traffic violations are your biggest red flag, then you don't really have a red flag. The Browns have kept players on this roster with far more serious issues. Now, here's the part that really made me lean forward. Grossi hinted that if another team suffers a quarterback injury, the Browns may consider trading a veteran. But, and this is key, he didn't say Shedeur or Gabriel were on the block. He specifically said they'd prefer to move a vet. Translation, these rookies, they're not camp bodies, they're not throwaway picks, they're foundational pieces. Now, NFL.com reported that W.R. Deonta Johnson believes Kenny Pickett will win the starting job after camp. Makes sense, he played with Pickett in Pittsburgh, loyalty's natural. But the other vets, the ones without Steeler ties? I'm hearing something very different. Some of those guys are genuinely surprised by what Shedeur is showing. They're impressed by his poise, his intelligence, and his work ethic. Let's not forget, this is a guy who took on a total rebuild at Colorado and carried himself like a franchise quarterback. That kind of poise, confidence, and resilience doesn't vanish in the pros, it translates. Now, for the big question. If the Browns are still considering drafting a QB in the first round next year, what does that mean? Does it signal doubt in Sanders or Gabriel? Possibly. Or it might signal competence. Think of the 49ers. Think of the Eagles. Smart teams stack QB talent. They build depth at the most important position in sports. To me, it's clear they're betting on Shedeur. He's under contract for 4 seasons. They've got time, and it seems they're finally understanding the most crucial truth in quarterback development. You don't rush it, you build it. So here's how I see it playing out. Tell me if you agree. Flacco starts the year. Maybe he wins a couple games. Eventually, Father Time catches up, or he takes a hit. Enter Pickett. Short leash. Solid, but unspectacular. A bridge. A patch. They're gearing up to hit first, and hit hard. And the timing couldn't be more pivotal. The team has just released its training camp reporting schedule, confirming what insiders have whispered for weeks. Rookies are due in Berea on July 18, followed by veterans on July 22. But these aren't just dates on a calendar, they mark the beginning of a cultural transformation. After limping to a 3-14 finish in 2024, Cleveland has completely revamped its health and performance operations. This isn't just about the X's and O's, it's about reprogramming the entire mindset. From preparation to conditioning, every detail is being redefined, and that transformation was already on full display during minicamp. The pace? Blistering. The intensity? Unmatched. This wasn't a no-contact walkthrough. This was a statement, a message to the locker room, to the rest of the league, and most importantly, to the dog pound. Cleveland is done playing defense. This team is building a new identity. one that throws the first punch. But underneath all this growing momentum is a brewing subplot that cannot be ignored, a storyline that's heating up just as the quarterback battle hits a boil. Enter Shadur Sanders, the rookie whose draft journey was as turbulent as it was controversial. Once projected as a potential No. 1 overall pick, Sanders slipped all the way to the 5th round, not because of talent, but because of doubt. Concerns about his maturity, his demeanor, his adaptability. And now that narrative just found fresh fuel. Sanders was clocked doing 101 miles per hour in a 60 zone on I-71 North near Strongsville at 12:24 a.m. A traffic ticket may not derail a career, but for a young quarterback trying to build credibility, it's a blow. It's not criminal. It won't get him suspended, but it threatens the momentum he's worked so hard to establish. Fox 8 in Cleveland broke the story, and the Browns have yet to respond publicly. A silence that speaks volumes. For a player still earning trust, this is the type of misstep that lingers in film rooms and coaching evaluations. Until now, Sanders had been gaining ground, making a legitimate case with the second team, proving he belonged in the quarterback conversation. He was beginning to distance himself from the chaos of draft night, but this incident reopens old wounds and reignites the most critical question: can he mature quickly enough to lead an NFL offense? This isn't a career-ending scandal, far from it, but it is a crucial test, one that may determine how short his leash is with the coaching staff and how much confidence he's lost or gained from teammates. And for fans who watched Deshaun Watson struggle behind a leaky offensive line last season, the thought of another quarterback conundrum isn't just frustrating, it's draining. Speaking of that O-line, there's another name you need to have on your radar: Dillon Jones. While all eyes fixate on the quarterback carousel, the true X factor this season might be the man tasked with protecting the blind side. Dalton Wasserman of PFF didn't mince words when he called out Jones, and we'll dive into that in the next segment. Branded with that label after back-to-back season-ending injuries and surrounded by a group of aging veterans, Dillon Jones now stands as Cleveland's only youthful pillar on the offensive line. His talent is undeniable, but this season it's not just about potential, it's about availability, dependability, and leadership. He must be the guy. The pressure is immense. With 2 first-round picks in the 2026 NFL Draft, how the 2025 season plays out could redefine the franchise's trajectory. But to even reach that inflection point, the Browns will need more than headlines. They'll need Jones to stay healthy and Shadur Sanders to stay locked in. And while the spotlight naturally follows those marquee names, savvy fans should shift their focus to a quiet riser: cornerback Cameron Mitchell. After logging just 34% of defensive snaps last season, Mitchell has emerged as a dark horse contributor, suddenly poised to become a critical piece of Cleveland's evolving secondary. With Greg Newsome, too. And Martin Emerson Jr. both entering contract years, Mitchell could very well be the future. And the front office seems to agree. They didn't sign a single cornerback this offseason, not by accident, but by design. That's not just a vote of trust, it's a bold statement of belief. Now it's your turn. Drop your thoughts in the comments, because here's the twist. This rebuild isn't just about raw talent, it's about timing, trust, and transformation. The Browns aren't chasing external flash, they're cultivating internal fire. That's why players like Mitchell aren't viewed as backup plans. They're integral to the blueprint. Cleveland is making calculated moves, and the message is clear. The future core might already be in the building. And for a fan base craving stability, that's a beacon of hope. Mitchell's low-key consistency and positional versatility are exactly what this new team identity demands. He doesn't need to go viral, he just needs to be rock solid. And if Cleveland's bet on him proves correct, he might not just be the next man up, he could be the next man to build around, lining up alongside Denzel Ward in a reimagined secondary. This training camp will be the litmus test. But don't expect the road to be smooth. Teams that finish 3-14 don't just flip the switch overnight. There will be mistakes, doubts, growing pains, and the pressure? It's already boiling, and we haven't even reached week 1. Deshaun Watson, assuming he retains the starting role, must elevate his game behind an offensive line still forging its identity. That line must in turn protect well enough for any quarterback to function. The defense must continue to bring heat, but with fewer penalties and more consistency. The coaching staff understands the magnitude of what's at stake. That's why they've torn up the old risk-averse manual, replacing it with fast, physical, full-contact sessions. Let's be honest, Watson's time in Cleveland has been underwhelming. Since arriving in 2022, he's played just 19 games. In those appearances, he's completed 61.2% of his passes, thrown for a bit over 3,300 yards, notched 19 touchdowns, and tossed 12 interceptions. For the price Cleveland paid in money and draft capital, that's a brutal return. And don't even get me started on the injuries. He tore his Achilles in Week 7 last year, just when fans were starting to think he might turn a corner. Boom, another setback. And now, all signs suggest the Browns aren't expecting him back at all for 2025. Nothing's confirmed, but the writing's on the wall. So, what now? Let's revisit the quarterback room. We've got Joe Flacco back. We brought in Kenny Pickett. And then we've got the two young wildcards, Dylan Gabriel and Shadur Sanders. And here's the real truth. If one of those rookies catches fire in training camp, the entire depth chart could implode. There's a real opportunity here for a total reshuffle. But before I dive into what's next for Shedeur, let me circle back to Deshaun just for a moment. Even off the field, Watson's trying to shift the narrative. He recently addressed the doubters and critics head-on. He said, "Everyone's doubting me. They don't think I can get back to where I was. But I believe in myself. The peace I've found these past few months, I know I'm going to be better than ever. And you know what? I respect that. I respect any man who's gone through physical and mental hell and still stands tall, still dares to believe in his own comeback. But here's the tough question. Will it happen? Can he translate that belief into performance? Because this is Cleveland. This is a city that's done hearing about potential. This is a team that's starved for results. And that, my friends, is where Shadur Sanders enters the arena. He didn't get the fairy tale draft night. He didn't go top 10 like some once predicted. He didn't even go on day 2. He slid all the way to pick 144 in the 5th round. But that pick might end up being the steal of the decade, because now the most hyped quarterback in college football might just be the spark Cleveland's been praying for. Thank you guys. See you next video.